Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm gonna show you how do I paint with acrylic markers. And I use Ohuhu Acrylic Marker particularly. If you follow me for a while, you know that I have received this set for the past 4 months, and I have a lot of good experience with acrylic markers. So today I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks so you can paint a beautiful and successful painting with this new medium. And again, thank you Ohuhu for sending me this beautiful set. Most of Ohuhu products are packed in very nice canvas packaging like this, so it's very easy to carry around or store in the drawer. And for this paint marker set, we have 24 colors. The marker pens have a fine tip for details and broad tip for a larger areas. When using for the first time, you have to press it gently on paper to get the ink flow. So the broad tip paints are slightly bigger than the fine tip pens. They are filled with 7 ml of ink, whereas 4 ml of ink for the fine tips. Usually with acrylic markers with any brands, you need to shake it before you use to make sure the ink will not be watery when it came out from the tube. And make sure that you cap it tightly right away after you use it, otherwise your tips or the nibs gonna get dry very quick. And if you already have a dry markers or your set already get dry, I'm gonna show you how to reactivate it, and maybe it can help you save some money. Okay, so these brush tip markers are actually my favorite because you don't need to press before use. The ink flow nicely already, and you just open the cap and start to paint on directly on the surface. With this brush tip, I can paint the big surface or a small corner very easy without changing to the smaller paint. Okay, let's talk about the paper because I just found out this is the best sketchbook that I have for acrylic markers. So this is from Stillman&Birn. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, but I bought this back in 2020 also for acrylic paints. You can see these my previous painting that I made with this, but the surface is super smooth, so I didn't like it. But now I found out it's perfect for acrylic markers. This sketchbook is 300 GSM, which can hold very heavy paints. Even though acrylic marker is no bleeding through a medium, so you can work on any surface. But I recommend if you work on the paper, pick something heavy so you can easily layer on top. For alternative option, you can choose mixed media sketchbook from any brands. Like here I have from Ohuhu. Mixed media paper usually made for wet and dry media, and they pretty heavy. It's around 200 to 300 GSM. One thing you should avoid is using watercolor paper, especially cold pressed paper, because they have a texture on it. You can easily end up damage your own painting or your own surface. Now I will show you some mixing and blending technique with acrylic markers. But before we start to do that, usually when I start to use the new medium, I love to swatch them on the paper or on the surface that I'm working on. This helped me to understand and get to know my new medium very quick. I use this for all kind of mediums like wash, oil paints, or oil pastel. So if you are new to acrylic markers, I encourage you to save your first sketchbook page and start to swatch them all. I only have 24 colors in this set. I will swatch it for you later, but if you have a bigger set like 90 colors or above 100 colors, swatching them will help you understand the color behave. Some mixing techniques that I use for acrylic markers is lighten, darken, and saturate the colors. For example, if I want to light up the blue color here, I'm gonna add the blue first, and then I use the white pen and I add the white color on top and start to blend it perfectly. You need to do it quickly because the acrylic marker dry very quick. And the more white you add, the lighter the color will be. Now I do the similar to the purple and try to make a pastel purple from it. Also, when you work with acrylic markers, you need a piece of paper towels in case that the tip is get dirty and you just basically wipe out on the paper. It's gonna get all the excess paint on the paint and then you will have a pure color again. Now to darken the colors or want to create darken values for that colors, you just need to add black into it. But this step you should be careful because black is such a dominant colors and it can override everything that if you put too much. So you can see here I only add a dot of black and that's look enough to darken down my blue colors. And now for desaturate the colors, yes, we're gonna add some gray into it. For example, I have the blue color here and then I'm gonna mix with some gray. We're gonna have a beautiful melted tone. These beautiful tones can be used in the object where it's in the shadow, in the shade, or this can be a reflected light on the object. I think learning how to blend this color together is very fun and also helpful if you want to expand your color palette, especially you're working on a limited palette or you own a few color set like 12 colors or 24 colors like I have. Then you can expand your own color palette without spending money to buy more colors. And also you can create a very unique color that reflected your personality or your art style. Now sometimes when you make a painting and you want to create a gradient effect like the skies or the sea, I'm going to show you how you can achieve that effect with acrylic markers. So very simple. First, you need to pick 3 to 4 values of that color. Like here, I have 3 colors of blues. And I start with the darker blue first. I try to fill the shape with that same values. So when you're working and you see your colors start to be streaky, you know the time to reactivate the nib, and very simple, you just take it out the nib and then you dip it into the clean water or you rinse it under the faucet. Then you just put it back and shake it again. I think now the nibs are ready to use. You can see the paint flow much better now. Now quickly pick the second value and you paint it on top. Also, where the two colors met, you gently blend them together to create a natural shifting value. So you can see that I have a hard time to blend the color as well because the acrylic marker dry very fast and I'm living in the dry temperature areas. But if you have the same problem like I do here, you just need to apply the second layers on top and then you use the Q-tips to blend them out, or you can use your fingers to smushing the color together. Keep doing that back and forth for a couple layers, then you will have a gradient effect that you want. Blending is so important skill because you want to create a realistic art. You need to achieve this effect perfectly. But don't worry, you can practice it a couple times and then you're gonna get used to it. When you want to add the detail, you just need to wait the layer completely dry and then you add the second layer on top. It's possible because acrylic marker is very opaque, so even you adding a lighter colors than the original, it's still possible for you to add the second layers like that. Here I'm quickly swatching out 24 colors that I have in the Ohuhu pen set. And you can see that the colors are super vibrant and very high in chroma. I think this color palette is very helpful for me when I want to create a very happy and fun painting. That's why I usually use acrylic markers for my small painting, or when I want to design a cute, funny stickers, I usually just use this instead of gouache or oil paint. For today's mini painting, I'm gonna paint this cute bell pepper that I just got from grocery store. But if you are a beginner or you're new to acrylic marker, I recommend you starting out with the simple shape like a tomato or an apple, because the bell pepper had very distinct form, so you need to work a little more on it. So you can see that instead of doing rough sketch like normally, I start to map out all the symbol shape first and then try to refine it into a nice curve. Maybe I don't need to be very accurate, but at least I need to create a correct shape for the bell pepper. So now I go straight to the local color, which is the red. And then I want to fill this shape with darker in color, so I add a couple dots of blacks. So you can see that this is enough to fill all the shape. Now I'm using the same red color to fill our entire shape. So the light source is come from the left, and the right side is gonna be in the shadow, and the left side is gonna be in the light. You can see that I map out some areas that I'm saving for the reflection. Now I'm using a little pink and orange to fill it up, and I'll lighten up later. For the reflection of the light part, I'm gonna mix the pink and the orange. I want to create more dynamic colors instead of just lighting up the color by using white. Bell pepper or pumpkin is kind of complicated shape because they have very organic looking. So when you work on it, you need to observe the reference photos or your object very carefully to see where is the light landing on, so you can start to working on the shape easier. And because I said I want to make the color more dynamic looking, so you see that in the light part I'm gonna mix more yellow and orange and pink into it, but on the shadow part I'm gonna add more blue and purple, because in the shadow the color tend to be more cool tone. Quite awkward if you put the warm tone like yellow or orange in the shadow part. And also, instead of just darkening up your color by adding more black, here I add more blue into the red, and I know it can create a deep purple tone. It's similar to red crimson that if you are using the paints, and that cool tone is look dark enough to me. I also carefully soften the edges where the light is bouncing around the form. So knowing where to keep the sharp edge or where you need to soften the edge is also a key for a successful painting. Here I see the shadow is already look too dark, so I intentionally covering up again with another layer of the red. But don't be afraid. Even I'm using a very thick layer to covering up, but somehow the layers underneath is still showing up like you see here, so that area is still darker than the others. So now I'm using a very pastel purple and pastel pink to paint the reflected light that lands on the shadow part. And we all know that the reflected light is not that shy and vibrant, but here we just create a very fun and cute painting section, and as long as you use the correct values, so no matter what color you put it on, it still makes sense. I'm adding more highlight here by using very bright skin tone color. I'm not using the white yet. Moving on to the half of the bell pepper, I forgot to hit the record button on my camera. But I have the short video that I upload on my Instagram account where I show you very briefly how do I create it. Basically, it's quite similar to the bell pepper. You also need to decide where is the shadow and where is the light part, and then nicely pick the color and blend them together. After using the acrylic marker for a couple months, I think this medium is very easy to work with. It's very forgiving medium because you can adjust your mistake. You also have a lot of control in your hand because the color is already loaded. Basically, you just pick up the paint and start to make your own painting without mixing color on the color palette, and you might end up to mix some muddy color which makes you very unhappy. The regular mixing colors can be applied on acrylic markers as well. Like you want to create green, you just need to mix blue and yellow for it. And the point is understanding the medium by mix and blend them together and do a lot of practices. Then you can start to make your own beautiful painting. Now I just need to add some cute little stars like a decoration for the page, and basically we're done with this bell pepper. And yeah, we're done with the painting today. I'm very happy how my bell pepper turned out. And if you like the video, please give me a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next coming video. See you soon. Bye.